All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here, Mark P Markets. Thank you for joining me for another Bitcoin analysis session. Welcome. If you're new to the stream, let me explain to you briefly how this works. Also, if you guys can hear me, just let me know in the chat. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the economic calendar very briefly because I want to make sure that we're aware of what type of events can occur this week that can expand the ranges on our charts, and we want to make sure we want to stay out of the market's way in those situations. Second, I'm going to go over the Bitcoin situation here. We're going to talk about some of the price action that's going on this time frame that you see on the screen, but I'm also going to get into Ethereum. And the reason why I'm doing that is because when I get to the third portion of the stream, which is where I look for new signals using the Trade Scanner Pro, I want to look for the signals in the Ethereum futures contract. The reason for that is I want the numbers to be more realistic, even though I'm using a practice account on here to do that, because I'm not going to trade at this time for real. I do want to get to the point where I trade a real account. And if I'm going to trade futures contracts on a smaller account, because I'm not going to do it on a $50,000 account, I want to use the Ethereum contract, right? So we're going to take a look at that and see how that works, okay? So with all that being said, let's get this thing started. Let me just get my thing up here. So this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Let me say hello. We got Lad. Good to see you. James. All right, cool. Savi, how are you? From Brooklyn. But I met Savi, and he doesn't talk like that at all. So anyway, nice guy. By the way, Savi, and I know if, what's his name? Milad watches the stream after. There's another event coming up in a few weeks. In case you're interested, it's free. The CMT Association is having their holiday party. So I forget the exact date, but and I'll send you an email, or I'll get it together next week. But it's like in the third week of December or something like that. It's during the week. It starts at 6 p.m. It's at Beckett's in Stone Street. It's in the Wall Street area, right? Beckett's is like a bar there. It's a popular bar. It's on the second floor. And they're going to have food and they're going to have drinks, and the whole thing is free. So I'm planning to go to that. So anyone else that's interested, if you go to the CMT Association website, you can find out they have a calendar. I'll put the link after. But there's a calendar, and it has the event on there, and you can register for it. You have to register for it, but it's free. So they just want to know who's coming. Anyway, and it's free to you don't have to be a CMT to go to this thing. So that should be a lot of fun. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. Again, I'll put the link momentarily for the CMT Association. But it's cmtassociation.org /networking events. Networking-events, I believe, is the link. All right, anyway, so just wanted to mention that. Also, if you like the stream, subscribe, press the like button, press the subscribe, leave a comment or something, because that always helps with the YouTube algorithm. Although, I don't know. I mean, if you look at my numbers, it doesn't really help that much. And I wanted to mention another thing real quick. If you check the links in the description, if you're interested in the Trade Scanner Pro, you can try it out for 14 days for free. Now, Stian sent me the support and resistance overlay, which is very cool. Okay, I was playing around with it. I don't have a visual of it here, but it's basically an overlay that will draw support and resistance levels for you on the charts, and it looks really cool. He has to make a couple of adjustments to it, but it exists. Okay. Another thing we're doing is we are doing an upgrade on the logic for the Trade Scanner Pro. Okay, no problem. It's on Stone Street, Milad, in the Wall Street area. Stone Street. It's called Beckett's. It's a bar, Beckett's, and it's on Stone Street. They have the New York chapter of the CMT Association. They have their events at this place all the time, and again, it's free, right? So they can have food and drinks. So and it's like a networking event. But all the CMT people will be there and all that. It'll be fun. So I'm going to that. So definitely, you guys want to come. I'll send you guys the link. Or I'll put the link in the thing. Okay, cool. Yeah. And it's at 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. I forget the exact date, but it's on their website. And again, I have to mention it's free. Okay. Hey, Stefan, how are you? Still going. Yeah, that's right. Even though still going. Not much of a following since then, but still going. Anyway, yeah, Kai. Well, they have an event every month. They have some type. The CMT Association has some type of event every month, and then they do other events in conjunction with like the CFA Association and all these other things they have going on. So it's cool to just like meet other professional people in the business. These aren't, notice there are no YouTubers at these things, by the way, as Savi and Milad can tell you. These are more of like it's like more of like an industry type of thing. So but yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So anyone interested in New York, you can send me an email or something, or just go to that link. I'll put the link soon, and you guys can register on there. Again, it's free, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so yeah, so if you want to try I was mentioning with the Trade Scanner Pro, which we're updating the logic, and the whole idea behind this is to make the process even simpler for you. Right now, when I talk about the Trade Scanner Pro, I'm expecting you to come to the market with your analysis, and I've realized that that's too much to ask. So what we're doing is we're refining the script further. We are refining it further so that basically all you will have to do is just pull up a time frame of your choice and wait for a signal. All right, and it's going to still have the trend mode and the counter trend mode, but I'm also adjusting the logic on the counter trend mode. So what all this really comes to is a lot of the random signals, a lot of the noise that I'm always telling you to watch out for will be overlooked. It'll be ignored by the script, and the quality of the signals when they come up will be better. But there are going to be a lot less signals for sure in that, because of this more advanced filter or filters that we're putting on this thing. Okay, so he's working on that now. I just sent him the instructions, and it's going to take him a little bit, but when we have that update, it's certainly going to be a big change for the amount of signals that come through. And that's also going to apply to the bot as well that we have. So we have a lot of things in the pipeline. It just takes time because, Steen is only one person. Okay, and I'm not a coder, so I have to depend on him. Anyway, just wanted to mention that, but you can try out the Trade Scanner Pro for free for 14 days. Also, check out, we have a Discord community. If you have questions or if you need support, there's some channels there for that. Plus, Alex and Steen are there, also available to answer questions about things if you're interested. There's a link there. And if you want to try out the bot, right now my email list is full. So if you try to sign up, you're not going to get a spot on there. I'll have to free up some room on that list. But right now, the bot sends out a signal each day. It's by email, and it's something you kind of test out and see how it works. You can also go to the Discord community, and it puts out a signal. There's a channel there as well where it puts out that signal. It tells you all the order information, and it gives you at least a chart, a picture of the chart. So you can check that out. Also, if you're interested in trying out MEXC or Bybit, we have some affiliate links there. Those belong to Steen. All right. In fact, when I'm trying to put together like a real account type of situation where the goal is to use a small account that's realistic for most people and show you how I can grow the account using real money. Okay. And if I do that, it's probably going to be on Bybit. All right. And yeah, you're like, but you're in the US. How could you use Bybit? Well, I'm going to VPN it. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. But anyway, I'm working on this idea. So that's why we're going to play around with Ethereum today on paper, because that's what I'm trying to lead to with that. So anyway, you can sign up for Bybit or MEXC, use the affiliate link. Steen gets a small cut. It's a big help to him. As also, if you're interested in TradingView, they have their Cyber Monday sale still running. You can use his affiliate link and you can save some money there as well. There are benefits to having the premium version of TradingView, although it's not required. All right. And if you want to tip Steen because it's, you're feeling generous, there are some wallet addresses in the subscription in the description as well. So please consider that. Okay. Anyway, enough talk, man. I've been talking forever here. I got to get into the charts. All right. So first thing, let's talk about the economic calendar very quickly, and then we're going to jump into the charts. So this week, we have a couple of things that are worth mentioning. The first is we have, I believe it's tomorrow, we have, or Wednesday, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Wednesday, we have a PMI services number, so some PMI number coming out. We also have the ADP employment change That's on Wednesday. That's not a big deal, but it can move things. Keep an eye on it. Also, we have President Lagarde from the ECB speaking this week. I believe that is on, I want to say Thursday. Okay. And I'm sorry, that ADP number also comes out on Thursday. And then on Friday, of course, we have non-farm payrolls. And that comes out the first Friday usually of every month. It's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's a very big number, okay? I mean, if it comes out with any surprises, it could move markets in a big way. So be aware of that. Also on that day, I believe at 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m., we have Michigan consumer sentiment, which is an intraday number. You know, it could move the markets intraday. The S&P can jumble around on that number. So important for day traders, all right? Be aware that those numbers are coming out. Double check the times on like that services PMI number. But be aware of those, okay? But besides those there's really nothing else worth mentioning. Economic calendars are usually full of a lot of events. There's usually like dozens of them, and you're like, well, which one's important? Which one isn't? So that's the whole point of running through this routine here, is just going over a couple of the ones that you should keep an eye on or be aware of, so that if it comes out, you're not sitting there in a position and then you watch your position spike and you're like, I don't understand. Well, that helps you understand what's going on. Okay, that's that. Now, let's get into the chart, shall we? I'm going to make my face smaller here because it's enough of you looking at my big head like that on the screen. All right, now, what we have here, I'm going to make this chart bigger. Now, here, we're going to talk about the daily chart before we get to the other side here. All right, so let me just make that daily chart bigger. This is the chart that I shared on TradingView yesterday, also on my Twitter account. Also, if you want to subscribe to Twitter, you can find me on there, Mark P. Markets. I need some more Twitter followers, man. No one ever goes to that account. I don't know why. So this chart right here is my daily chart. And this situation that I'm calling for, right? This is all about the risk. And that's what I talked about in my article. This can go either way from here. Now, typically in these situations, right, when you have the high in place, a lot of times what you get here is you get a consolidation. And that's what it looks like we're getting here. A bull flag is basically what this looks like. It could be developing, right? So my scenario for the week, which is this illustration right here, that's basically, I'm anticipating the failed low, which is what this is, okay? The failed low, where it makes a slightly lower low, meaning we test 90K, maybe we go a little bit lower, followed by the reversal confirmation. When you get the reversal confirmation, then this is the leg that you should be anticipating. Now, how high does that leg go is anyone's guess. You have to stop believing these nonsense people who are making all these ridiculous forecasts, because again, they're doing it. Most of you know this by now, but any of you that are new and that may be watching me like for the first time, I talk a lot about these frauds because it's just mind-boggling how many of them there are. And they will mislead you. So they'll make these ridiculous forecasts with the only purpose of just getting your attention so that they could monetize it in some other way. That is it. There's no way to know if this thing is going to break 100K on the next move higher or not. There's no way to know. Now, it might, because this would be a higher low, relatively speaking, if we get that formation, and higher lows typically lead to higher highs, and this trend is bullish. So we do have all of that in line. On top of that, I don't have the wave counts on this chart, but basically this big leg, the 73K breakout from the election, which is, by the way, what's still the momentum that's still in play here, there's 3 waves that could be counted in that. And if we get a consolidation in this area here, that's typical of a wave 4. If we get that wave 4 of what? Of 5, because this entire breakout structure is a wave 5, right? We had the consolidation back here, this elongated consolidation. This is the one that goes all the way back to March, like this one back here, going all the way back. This breakout, consolidation breakout, that consolidation was a broader wave 4. Okay, you can see that kind of when I zoom out here. It's a broader wave 4. We broke out, which means we are in a 5, right? And inside of that 5, we're looking to count 5 waves. I can count 3, and this is most likely the 4th, where we are right here. This is the 4th. If we have a 4th wave, that means we're likely to get one more going higher. But how high does that go? Who knows, right? So there's ways you could use fib extensions to kind of get some potential numbers. I mean, I can do that real quick, but these don't really have much forecasting value. I mean, I could measure the whole wave, right? I could measure from like the bottom of the wave to a pullback, right? Something like this. And it gives me, and like, look where we are. We're fooling around with 2618. So the 3618 is at 107, right? So, I mean, you could look at something like that. You can also take a smaller measurement, like just measuring this wave 3 and wave 4 and get some numbers there. But again, that doesn't have any probability, meaning just because a number shows up there doesn't mean that it has a greater than 50% chance of the price reaching there. It's just a reference point, meaning if price gets there, that might be the completion point of wave 5. Okay, wave 5 may just go slightly higher and then turn. Okay, the 5th wave of this move. So the reason why I'm emphasizing that is because when you have 5 waves in anything and the 5 waves are complete, that dramatically increases the chances of a corrective cycle coming. So this is very important because you don't want to sit here thinking, oh, this thing is strong. I'm just going to go all in here, because these are high risk prices for people going all in now. If you're not all in, or you're not invested from better prices or whatever, this is not the time. And I will always say that at highs. So in situations like this, hey, Alex, thanks for joining us. In situations like this, you want to be more cognizant of the risk. Okay. Now, again, I'm not being bearish here. I'm not telling people to stop playing with Bitcoin or stop investing. I'm not saying those things, but I'm just telling you, be aware of the risk, because a corrective cycle, if I go to the weekly, this is what you need to be aware of, right? Everyone wants to know, well, how high can it go? Can I be a millionaire tomorrow? You know how many videos I'm seeing on YouTube about becoming millionaires again? I'm seeing a lot of them. So when I go to the weekly chart, okay, and let's say we have the 5th wave. Let's just say the 5th wave completes around 100K or maybe a little higher or whatever. And everyone is like, this thing is going to 200K, right? The whole world thinks this is the safest bet in the world. If that peaks, like, what could we pull back to? Well, if we measure, right, we go back, right? We can measure some structures here. Just this structure alone. What is that bottom there? 15K, I think. Yeah, that's the 15K bottom that I'm measuring from, right? A halfway point to that, pulling back like 50% of that is like over here somewhere. Okay, so that's like 60K. And I know what you're thinking. Whoa, if it goes to 60K, I'm going to invest everything I got. Right. You say that now. But at the time, in order for price to do something like that, there has to be a lot of negative catalysts in the market. And if there are negative catalysts and this thing starts playing around 60K, you're going to be like, oh, well, let me wait a minute. Let me wait until things look a little better, because this thing looks like it's going a lot lower, right? So that's all I'm saying. That's your risk. And a 50% pullback or a 30% pullback, that's not even like a really bad pullback. That's just normal. That's just a corrective cycle. That's all it is in a broader bullish trend. So that's the risk, all right, for investors. Day traders and swing traders don't have to deal with that risk, because you can define your risk at tighter levels and get out if you're wrong, right? That's the advantage to working on smaller time frames. Investors become married to these things. Now, right now, I've seen a lot of talk about altcoin season and the money's pouring into altcoins. I was looking at some of these altcoins. They look ridiculous. Let me pull up a couple here. They all pretty much look the same. Let's pull up something like Link, right? Link. Look at this, right? This is Link on the daily, and it's vertical. And so people think, oh, this is altcoin season. I'm going to get rich, right? That's what they all thinking to themselves, because that's what all these YouTube videos are telling them. But let's take a look at a weekly chart real quick. This is Link, right, on the weekly chart. So Bitcoin has been fooling around all-time highs, pushing all-time highs and all that stuff. And most of these altcoins look like this. So if you just do some measurements here, I mean, we're fooling around just around the 382, right? Retracement off the highs. This is typically an important resistance area. And I mean, look how vertical that looks. Just going back, I mean, we broke this resistance. Okay, right. All right, that's impressive. Nice with these vertical candles. But I mean, just looking back where we are, right? This is where we're fooling around right now. Historically, this is where we're fooling around. And this area, look, I mean, I could see some old supports in there, right? All that. That's going to act on the price. Not at this moment. Clearly, this thing is super strong at the moment because everyone is all excited. All I'm saying is when things look like this, the risk is the greatest. That's all I'm saying. So if you're okay with that and you're like, well, I think it's going to double and I don't mind losing. If that's you, then by all means, go for it. But the problem with these situations, and again, they all look like this, is the risk is enormously high. This right here, right? That's the previous high right here. This situation right now is vulnerable for a failed high. Now, this is a weekly chart. So we have the whole week before this candle closes. My point is, any altcoin you pull up, another big one, XRP, right? I was looking at this one. A lot of XRP people. Look at this. This is ridiculous, right? Let's go. This is the weekly chart on XRP. I mean, so we go back here. What is this thing right now? $2.74. I mean, this thing is just vertical. If you were brave enough to buy this thing, when it broke this resistance, okay, you're doing okay. But you have to understand something. Markets don't move like this. This is abnormal, as you can see, like as an example back here. So we're coming back to these prices, right? I mean, that's the high right there on XRP. We're not far from that. But the thing is, going all in now is not the time, okay? If you're not in from these prices or you're not in from the breakout, or maybe you just got brave somewhere in here, you had the courage and you just bought it and hoped for the best, and now you got this vertical, great. Take money off the table. That's all I can tell you. Okay, because these are not natural moves. These are outliers, and you're taking the most risk now. By buying this now, you're making others rich. That's all I can say. So, I don't want to sound pessimistic. I don't want to ruin everyone's party. All I'm saying is, don't be foolish. Lock something in. If you have some nice profits, lock something in. You want to let some ride? Go ahead. There's no sell signal in here yet, right? Let it ride. That's what you do in these situations. But right now, this is just like nonsense mode. And you could day trade this, you could swing trade this, but invest, you're out of your mind. Okay. Do you think waiting to buy in pullbacks and alts is a good idea? Well, I would prefer that, but it depends on which way you're going about it. Like as a swing trade, yeah, right? Like look, for a swing trade, you may get like a little mini pullback like this back here, okay? Something like that would be ideal. You don't know how far they're going to pull back. I mean, in a situation like this, you can pull back like into this area, something like that, which may take a few weeks. I don't know, especially in the face of this momentum. So you have to be a lot more patient. It's a hard game to play on the swing trade basis. When I see vertical markets like this is like ideal for day traders because you could jump in. I mean, look, let's just take a look at a 15-minute chart on something like this. I mean, look at this price action, right? On a 15-minute chart, this is a lot more plausible, right? Consolidation breakout, resistance break over here, right? If you were playing at the failed, you got the double bottom, right? The double bottom situation takes out resistance, takes out these little mini resistances. Right? Beautiful for brief positions where you just hold on for maybe a couple hours, whatever, and you're done with it. And you take a small bite. That's what the situation is ideal for. And if the market really has a major pullback, yeah, you get stopped out of your day trade or whatever, but you're not exposed to the large magnitude of risk presented by these larger timeframes. I mean, this is ridiculous. okay, when it gets like this. So it's hard to play this. Now, the other way to go with this, because again, the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because of the risk, right? The risk is very high. If you are not afraid of risk, and you could say, yeah, I got a $10,000 account, and if it goes to zero, I don't care. If that's you, you will have no problem here, because you can just buy it at any price and just hope for the best, okay? And maybe it continues vertical for a little while longer, but once these things peak, all I can say is look out, because the pullback will be dramatic, as we've all seen before, right? Just go back to the weekly, and we see this is the kind of pullback that you are potentially facing. Now, I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we will get that pullback, but that's the risk that you face, something like that. And why would you want to, like, this is like a poker game. You're at a poker table and you've got, you're sitting there pre-flop and you get these lousy cards. You get like a 3-9 offsuit, just something ridiculous. And the flop comes out, nothing's on your side. I mean, you're going to throw the cards away because chances are this hand is going to lose money if you push this hand, okay? That's the situation that you have here, right? Yeah, you can buy into this because it looks great after the fact, but if you are not in at these ridiculously low levels, which now we can say was ridiculously low, then you missed it, and that's it, right? So you have to decide, are you okay with the risk? Or if you're not okay with the risk and you want to be a little more responsible, I'm like a more conservative like I am, I prefer to wait for some kind of situation that gives me a higher probability outcome, like a pullback, okay? And then if you look at the other side of this, well, what about shorting a move? If this move is so ridiculous, then we should be able to short that, right? When markets get irrational like this, it's a bad idea, okay? Imagine all the people that got short here thinking, oh, it's at the high, it's going to pull back, and it just goes vertical in their face. When markets get irrational like this, it's hard. If you're going to do that, it should be on small time frames as well to manage your risk. Does that make sense? I usually don't talk about like some of these other altcoins, but we're in ridiculous mode right now. And you need to be aware. A lot of news articles, a lot of news items are driving these things, especially XRP. So just be aware, okay? When things go vertical, you don't have too many choices on this time frame. It's either throw your money in and hope for the best, or work on smaller time frames and keep your risk under more control. Define that risk better, right? Because when these things pull back, you don't want to get caught in that on the wrong side. All right, makes sense? Now, let's go back to Bitcoin. Now, and keep in mind, like these things seem to be like lagging Bitcoin. Bitcoin had the big move, and now all the money's pouring into these things. Some people say when Bitcoin pulls back, that money will go into the altcoins, and anything can happen here, right? There's just a lot of chaos. Anything can happen. So all you have to do is be aware of the risk and decide, can you handle it? And if you can't handle it, then you have to adjust somehow so that you can keep your risk under control. That's the whole key to the whole thing. Now, one thing I would say too about like altcoin season and all that other stuff, I mean, we have a big change, right? The administration has changed. So that's why a lot of this optimism is coming from, and all this and all that. And there's a lot of questions about, how the economy is going to change and this and that based on all these changes they're going to make. Whatever you do, don't get married to any ideas. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of complex stuff out there. I saw a whole bunch of a lot of on-chain analysts and all these experts and blah, 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 blah. Don't get married to any of this nonsense. That's all I'm saying. Keep things as simple as possible. You can make clearer decisions that way, right? A lot of this philosophy comes from my day trade activity, because as a day trader, especially in futures, you don't have time to fool around with, oh, this economist said this and this expert said that. There's no time for any of that nonsense. You have to make decisions right now, and you need information that you can use that's going to help you make optimal decisions, right? That are in line with what the market is doing now. Not what you think the market's going to do, not what the market has done yesterday. It's about what's happening now and what's more likely to happen next. And we have to play a very short time horizon with that because that's the best we can do. All right. So it all begins with what time horizon or time frame you want to work on. Does that make sense? Now, Bitcoin XRP at 0.6. Well, so Giovanni, great price. It's vertical. So you have a few choices. For one, it doesn't hurt to let some, take some profit and capitalize on all the sheep that are buying into this thing right now, thinking they're going to be millionaires by tomorrow. Take advantage of that. All I'm saying is there's no sell signal in place yet. So don't let greed affect you too much. Take something off the table. Don't feel bad if it's doubled again tomorrow. Lock something in. Take advantage of the situation and then let some ride until you get a sell signal. That's all. That's what I would say. In situations like that, when markets get very irrational, you want to give them a chance to pay you more, but you're never going to get the top. You may randomly get the top. Like if you sell it all right now, it might be the top, but it may run to $3 or whatever. Like there's no way to know how far it's going to go. All you know is there's heavy duty momentum on the bullish side. There's a lot of catalysts behind it. But markets don't move in that way naturally, and a corrective move is very likely. So take advantage of what you can. That's what I would say. But at the same time, you want to let some ride. Only you can make that decision. But factually speaking, on the chart right now, there's no sell signal yet. A sell signal will look like a big bearish pin bar, a bearish inside bar breaking the low, an outside bar, like an engulfing bearish candle, something like that would be a sell signal. There's nothing like that yet. The thing is, that has to develop first. And obviously, if that develops, you're usually far away from the high. So you're not going to get the high after that point. But you shouldn't be aiming for the high anyway. You should just be flexible and let the thing ride. If you have the Trade Scanner Pro, you can have the trailing stop on there. That might be helpful. Do you utilize utilities for XRP? I don't know what you mean there. Utilities? Not sure what you mean. Anyway, so maybe you can clarify on that. All right, so that's the situation there, right? So be careful with these altcoins and be careful with all the hype and all the nonsense that's following that space. There's a lot of it. And I'm seeing video after video title about being millionaires. I'm seeing all this. I mean, people are scamming. They're coming up with these meme coins and scamming people. So, and if you want to look ahead, watch the NFT space. Because when a bubble gets ridiculous, those start moving, right? Because people don't know what to do with all this money. So that's when the NFTs start moving. So watch that space. Maybe if you're interested in coins that have to do with NFTs, there may be some action spilling over there soon. Okay. Do you see any use for XRP? Well, I honestly, it's supposed to be what the federal, the governments, all the big institution people are in. That's my impression of XRP has always been. It's like the institutional one, and you have all these. I don't know. I'm not the right person to talk to about that because I don't really pay attention to a lot of that stuff because every coin out there is the next best thing, and they have all the greatest answers, and they're going to be the blah blah blah, right? And XRP is one of those overhyped coins, from my opinion. But look, it's doing really well right now. So there's a lot of legal conflict with that. I know the SEC tried a few things and they failed, and I also understand Trump is replacing Gary Gensler. I don't know if that's true, but I saw a headline. It could be wrong. It could have just been a lie just to get attention. But I saw that he was replacing Gary Gensler with someone who's more coin friendly. I don't know. And that could explain why XRP is vertical. So if that's what it's running on, then it's just running on a lot of hot air, right? So as far as like future use and all that stuff, I don't know. You have to, do some more homework on that, or You have to decide if you believe in it that enough or whatever. But either way, you should lock in something. That's all I'll say about that. All right, and there's like a million fake gurus on YouTube that'll tell you about the uses for XRP, but you have to make that decision. If you believe in it or not. Okay. But anyway, nice trade. All right, so let's talk about. So you guys following me on that? I don't think I have to answer any more questions on that. I think you guys are pretty much straight. Otherwise, I'll just be repeating this myself over and over again. So Bitcoin can go. It looks like we got that double top, and it looks like we're going to be in that consolidation, that mini consolidation or mini wave 4. So I would be looking for the low 90s in the next few days. If I'm wrong, and I'm wrong all the time, if I'm wrong and we get a bullish candle here, right? We break this high. We break this little consolidation high much sooner than before going to 90K, then we'll probably get that little leg to 100K or something like that, right? And this may be all we get as far as a consolidation. Remember, we can't get married to any of these ideas, even these short-term ideas. It's about what the market confirms. So we took out yesterday's low. This is a sort of a confirmation sell signal on Bitcoin and tells me that the consolidation is likely in play. Okay, for the bigger picture. So if I were to short Bitcoin, this would be like the swing trade short level, but it's a high risk short because I'm shorting something that's generally strong. But if you're looking to make 1,000 points or something or 2,000 points, that's within reason since 90K or high 80s is much lower from here. What are we at now? 95.7. So you're looking for a move of 5,000 points lower. That would be the consolidation low, and you're trying to pull 1,500 points out of that. That's within reason. But again, that's the swing trade mindset. All right. So that's Bitcoin. Now, what I want to do here is I want to switch the script here to Ethereum. All right. So we're going to go to Ethereum, ETH. Let's see which one. I'm going to go to the perpetual futures contract, right? I'm going to put P, and we're going to look at MEXC. Where's my MEXC on here? I think I just have to put ETH and then P. And I should have my MEXC. No? Do I have to spell out the whole thing? I think I have to spell it. No, I like to use, there's other ones on here, but I like to use MEXC. Let me see. Perpetual, there we go, the swap right here. There it is. Okay, MEXC. So it doesn't matter which one you use. I just like to use MEXC because that's one of Stian's affiliate links. And I like their data feed, but it doesn't really mean anything. All right, so this is Ethereum on the daily time frame. Let me just switch it over here on this time frame. I'm going to do Ethereum perpetual. Let me just MEXC right here. Okay. So these are the Ethereum charts. So let me explain what I'm doing. So again, this has to do more with the Trade Scanner Pro. I would like to do a test, okay? A demonstration. Not now, but this is what I'm planning. Where I take real money, I put it into an account over at Bybit. I'm going to use Stian's affiliate link. And I want to trade that account with realistic numbers, using the futures contracts with realistic numbers to see what is really possible. And with the trading view on here, on their demo thing, their practice thing, you can actually include the commissions. So I set up like a 1% or 0.01% commission. I don't know what MEXC's commission is. I'll have to look that up to see. So now it even calculates the cost per trade, and you get a much more realistic idea of what is possible. Because especially when you day trade, the cost is a very key factor. If your costs are too high, you can't day trade because you'll never make any money. All right, now, so what I want to do is I just want to get some perspective. Now, like I said before, with the Trade Scanner Pro, we're making it so that what I'm about to do here, you won't really have to do anymore. But I'm going to do this anyway just for demonstration purposes because I want to take trades in Ethereum today. All right. And this is what I'm going to have to do that. So first, I want to explain, for those of you that don't know, I want to explain to you how the Trade Scanner Pro works real quick. So it's a trend following momentum reversal system. It basically, what it does is it identifies a trend and then it looks for a pullback. That's basically what it does, right? Once it identifies the pullback, it looks for a reversal of that pullback in terms of momentum. When it identifies all of that, it sends out a signal in the form of order suggestions. All right. So it's a stop loss, an entry, and a profit objective. The profit objective is typically 1.5 times what the stop loss is. That's all preset. Now, the Trade Scanner Pro also has a trailing stop feature. So if the trade goes my way, a trailing stop will appear. It will help me reduce my risk. It'll move like this as the trade goes my way, and eventually I'll be at break even, which gives me a risk-free trade. And eventually, if it continues going my way, the trailing stop will just follow it, and it helps me capture a much larger trade than I normally would. Now, another cool thing about the Trade Scanner Pro is it has something called counter trend mode. Counter trend mode ignores the trend and it looks for this reversal here, which can be beneficial in certain situations like this where we are right now. Here's the thing I want to mention about this, just a quick note, is I gave Stian instructions for a more advanced filter for counter trend mode. So this is what my idea is. The new Trade Scanner Pro, or the update, you basically have two styles of trade. You can just trend trade if that's what you're interested in, or you can look for counter trend. In fact, the counter trend mode will be almost like its own script. It's almost like its own strategy in and of itself. So if you're just in the mood, like it's not something that's required that you have to check for, or I need to switch to, none of that. That's too complicated, right? So I want to make it so that you just decide, okay, I'm in a mood for counter trends, right? And then you just flip that thing on and it will only look for those type of trades. So it's like this. You have two patterns to trade with the Trade Scanner Pro. This is what we're getting to. It's the trend following pattern or the counter trend pattern. It's one or the other, and you decide which one based on your own personal preferences. You don't have to do any type of research to figure this out. That's the goal. Okay. So everyone that has the Trade Scanner Pro, when we do that update, everyone gets that update. Right. And when we have our overlays, which again, Stian sent me one of them, and we just have to make some adjustments to it, then the prices of the Trade Scanner Pro are going to go higher. Anyway, another thing I want to mention about counter trend is the way counter trend works right now. It's basically looking for what I like to refer to as like a simple signal. It's just looking for a sell signal based on the way that momentum changes. We're going to make it a little more robust. And what we're going to do is counter trend this is what it's going to become. Okay. It's not there yet, but this is what it's going to become. Counter trend is going to look for this next, right? It's going to look for the failed high, and it's going to look for the short here instead of here. It's going to look for this as the short if we get momentum confirmation here, which increases the probability of that trade working out. Also, it's going to filter out all those random trades. Like I said, there's too many random trades, especially when you're working on small time frames, right? So we're going to be able to filter those out and ignore all of those, and you'll be able to rely more on a signal popping up. All right. So that's the whole idea behind it. Anyway, so I explained to you how the Trade Scanner Pro works. Let me turn it on over here. And also let me just put let me put this on over here. When you first get this thing, this is what it looks like. The settings panel. You have to turn on trailing stop, turn on show previous trades, and then the heads up. Counter trend, we're going to leave blank, but that's right now. Like I said, counter trend is something you have to constantly be aware of and change and this and that. And we're going to change that to make it more easier on you. Now, the heads up lets me know if a trade is coming in advance. If I have heads up, it'll draw these columns. It'll paint these columns on these orange candles. That tells me a trade is likely to come soon, in the next 3 to 5 candles, right? The trend on this thing right now is bullish. This is the daily chart. So I'm going to switch this to the hourly. We're going to see a lot more stuff on here, right? So there's a trade that's in play right now. This is a bullish trade that's in play. The trade was called back here. Notice we had some warning first. The trade was called here. It almost stopped out. I mean, that's what's going on here on the hourly, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to turn that off because I don't want to be confused just yet. What I want to do is I want to first get some perspective. Now, what I'm about to show you here is the part that is confusing to people, and that is it's hard for, especially for beginners. And we're trying to circumvent this so that you won't have to do this anymore. But basically, what we're looking at here is trend and support and resistance levels. Two components. That's it. I know it sounds simple, but for some reason, it's not simple for people. Right? So I got my support and resistance levels. I'm just going to mark on the chart here real quick. Right? Those are some support levels. All I'm doing is drawing horizontal lines off of major reaction points on the chart from previous major reaction points, right? Where the market clearly reacted in some way. So these are my supports. These are my resistances on an hourly Ethereum. Now, one thing I have to mention before is you have to know in advance what type of trade you're looking for before you even come to the chart. So, and this is going to go even with the update. You have to know if you want to be a day trader or a swing trader or an investor. You have to know that first before you do anything else. So for this example, I know I want to go in for a day trade. That's the example that I want to show. So if I'm looking at a day trade, I'm going to be working on an hourly chart to get my bigger picture perspective. And then I'm going to work on a smaller time frame. In this case, I have a 15-minute, but I want to work on a smaller time frame, like a 1 minute for actual trades. Okay, that's my action time frame. This is where I'm going to take the trades. So I have some idea of what's going on in terms of support and resistance, right? These lines that I drew on the hourly chart, they show up on my 1 minute chart as well, right? That's what these blue lines are because I drew them there. Now, that helps me decide how I'm going to go about this. It's going to help me personally filter the signals, right? This is the way it has to happen right now. A couple of other things to note is the current structure on my 1 minute. Notice these are lower highs, are they not? Lower highs and lower lows. So there is some bearish momentum in play right now. Also, my trend on my 1 minute, based on what the script says, is bearish on my 1 minute. On my hourly, let me turn this back on, it's bullish, right? So there is some conflict there. You have to keep that in mind. Which one should I believe? Well, the larger time frame usually carries the weight. But the problem with this situation is I don't have any support or resistance nearby. We're in the middle. I have a support over here at what price? Let's see, 35.72, right? And I have some resistance between 36.45 and 36.73. We're nowhere near those numbers right now. We're in the middle here, right? So when we're in the middle like that, I'd like to then resort to the momentum on the smaller time frame. I'm going to use that as my guide. And this is basically what I want you to be able to do on your own with the new version of the script. Use just whatever the time frame you're on suggests. That's what you follow. Again, less is more. We have to simplify, right? So I'm using this price structure. So my 1 hour has done its job. I know where the levels are, and I know where we are on that roadmap. So I don't really need to look at it right now, right? So I'm going to just expand my smaller time frame, my 1 minute chart. And on here, let me turn it on, right? It is on, okay? We're in bearish mode right now, right? We're in the trend is bearish, which means this thing is looking for short signals. Now, I have to do something. I have to turn on, none of these things are turned on. Make sure you do this, right? Trailing stop, show previous trades, and heads up. Make sure you turn them on. Otherwise, you're not going to see anything on your chart, right? So let's just kind of look at what's happened here. I had this bearish signal. These little arrows represent previous trades, and they tell you if it was a win or a losing trade. This one is a losing trade. This one over here is a losing trade, right? These are these random trades that I'm trying to filter out. So I'm not going to be able to filter out all of them, but I want to filter out at least 50% of them or something like that. I definitely want to get rid of them. Now, so I'm looking for a trade here. And here's the thing. If my trend is bearish, I'm not going to get any longs in this situation. But this price structure is giving me a long look, we have a higher low. We took out this mini lower high situation. We took that out. My structure has changed, right? So this is probably going to be more bullish. So if I short this, it's probably going to be problematic. Okay. I mean, unless we get the short signal now, meaning before we take this leg out, before we take out that lower high. On top of all that, right? Again, notice I'm focused on just this little structure right here, right? I'm making judgments based on that. But I also have to keep in mind this structure also. I have to keep that in mind because that is bullish. And relative to that structure, this is a higher low, generally speaking, right? This is a low. This is a higher low, right? So which is bullish. So there is, again, like I said, there's some conflict. When we looked at our overall levels, we're in the middle. So a lot of stuff can happen here. It's going to be a highly random area. I'm going to resort to my momentum on here, which is bearish. So my point is, on my 1 minute, there's nothing to do here. I'm not going to just jump in just because whatever, right? So if I'm going to find trades, you know what I have to do. I have to go to a smaller time frame. I don't like to do this because it's a bad example for people, especially since you have to have the most expensive version of TradingView to get this, to get smaller time frames. Oh, notice my trend is beginning to turn here. On 1 minute charts, the trend changes a lot. I'm looking to adjust that as well so that it doesn't change so much. My point is, if this sticks now, then I can just wait for my next long. That would be the right thing to do. Or I can go to a smaller time frame. So let's take a look at a 30-second chart. Let's see if there's anything here. No, my trend is bullish on here, but no signal. Let's go to a 15-second chart. Anything here? Okay, what is that? That's a short signal that just got stopped out on the 15-second chart. Now, 15 seconds, like I said, it's going to be a very noisy time frame, not something I recommend for beginners. But I'll trade this for example purposes so that you can see the script in action. If you're wondering what time frame you should work with as a beginner, 5-minute or 15-minute, usually those are more appropriate for day trades. And sometimes if there's no signal, like if you're looking for a signal sooner, you have to usually go to the next time frame lower because there are more signals on the smaller time frames. And when we have our more advanced filters, those signals should be more reliable as well. Like a signal like this should not appear. Okay. Now, so now we're pulling back. All right. No, there's nothing there. Let me go back to my 1 minute because my 1 minute was saying short the whole time. Now, since we're in the mode changed, I may have to switch to counter trend. Let's see. Anything there? Yeah. Well, no, what is this? Was the long. Okay. That was the long from before. But again, like I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do the counter trend, right? I want to work on the side of the momentum on the smaller time frame. So look, this thing is bearish. It just turned back to bearish because obviously there's a, the definition of bullish or bearish is somewhere in here. That's what the script is seeing. I don't have any warnings or anything. So I'm going to have to check smaller time frames to see if I can find something. Okay, there's a short right there. It's a little bit advanced, but I'm going to try this. Okay. So I'm going to put on, I'll start with, now again, these are Ethereum contracts, right? And because of the contract value, I can trade like 10 at a time. So I'm going to short 10 of these. All right. And I'm being charged a commission. So I can do basically, now why 10? I'll tell you why. Because if we look at my account, okay, and we look at my account value here, I reset this account to $1,000. Now this is paper, it's not real, but I chose $1,000 because that's a realistic amount for most people, right? And the goal for something like this would be to do $100 per day, something like that, which is 10%, which is kind of ridiculous in reality, but that would be the general goal, right? So I wanted something more realistic, and I'm being charged commissions. So, oh, look, this thing, while I was speaking, it went to the profit objective. Nice. All right, so in a situation like this, let me see. Right, that's up $71. I'm going to take half of it off the table. Let's buy 5 back. All right, and I closed all 10. Oh, I closed all 10 by mistake. All right, I meant to close only 5. All right, that was a nice trade at the profit objective. Now, when we just look real quick, what just took place there? If I go back to my account history, right? So I made $79 plus it took $3 and whatever, $3.50 commission. That's what that negative number is, right? So $80 in not even a minute went by. That's realistic as a day trade using something like this with 10 contracts of the Ethereum futures, right? $79, and if I do one more trade, I get over 100, my goal would be met. That would be the idea, and I'd like to do this with real money. Anyway, that's the reason why I'm doing this with Ethereum. Can you do this with other altcoins? You can, but you have to make sure that it's a mover, right? Ethereum's a mover. Some of these other coins, if they're very stagnant or they're very like low volume, they don't really move. You have to play with much bigger positions, and that kind of stuff. So stick to something that's generally a proven mover, right? And Ethereum is a much less expensive contract to trade, so it's more realistic, I think, for a lot of people. Anyway, so in this situation, I meant to blow out 5. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get back in. If this thing gives me like a good look, I'm going to get back into just 5 because in reality, I have only 5 here. So I'm going to try shorting this right here, 5, right? Because I see the lower high. Now, there's no signal here. I just wanted to be in 5 because realistically, that's what I'd still be in right now instead of closing all 10. So let's just see how this trade plays out, right? So I locked in the 5. Now I put on this new 5, which would be going against me. It's like the old 5. Does that make sense? It's like I'm still in half the position. So let's see what happens here. Going back to my entry price, not good. You could see this orange line has appeared. That's the trailing stop. Now let's see. I'm on a 30-second chart here. Let's see how the trade scanner helps me navigate this trade. Because now this thing, so this in reality, right, I locked in 5 at the profit objective. Now the other 5 would be break even right now. If this goes to the stop, then basically my entire trade was broken even, basically, right? So let's see where this goes. Now, one thing I like to do, so much for that good look, huh? If we get this, we turn around through the level again. I like to that's a place where I like to add typically. So I just put on another 5, right? Which puts me back to my original position of 10. So now I see this as basically another entry opportunity. Keep in mind, this is a 30-second chart. So things can be really wild and dramatic on here. Now, if we get back to that profit objective, I'm going to unload 5 again. We're almost there. A couple more ticks. I mean, look at the way this thing is moving. I mean, in one candle, it's basically between like the profit objective and the entry price, so practically one candle. So it's definitely a mover. So let's see if this bearish momentum can stick and get me back to that profit objective. Now, what I'd like to see, but again, it's up to the market, because realize I'm not making any forecasts anymore. Right now, it's up to the market. I've made my decision to work on the short side, but I don't know how far this is going to go. This thing it's going to do whatever it wants. It's random is what the point is. And the Trade Scanner Pro helps me capitalize on the random nature rather than me getting caught up with, well, it's going to do this. Well, it's going to do that. Should I measure this? Should I measure that? I don't have to do anything, right? I have my profit objective. I have my stop. And that's all I need. I have my trailing stop, which hasn't really advanced yet. And all my decisions are pretty much here for me, right? The script tells me what I should be thinking, rather than me getting confused by the candles and me getting shaken out. Like if I had no Trade Scanner Pro, this type of candle situation right here may have shaken me out. I'm like, oh, that's a big candle. I need to get out of this thing. And then look, it goes right back in my favor, right? But because I know my risk is defined up here, I just give it a chance. Now, there'll be plenty of times when it goes straight to the stop and I have to get out. I've shown many examples of that. But if the signals are more reliable, then that should happen less, okay? But it's still going to happen. All right, so I'm pretty much at the profit objective. Again, I'm gonna buy. Oh man, as soon as I'm about to press the button, it turns green on me. But it's a, again, this is a very wild and erratic chart. It's 30 seconds. So if I get a red close here, I got that green close. If I get a red close, I'm definitely going to blow out the 5. All right, I'm not getting it. Let's see, give it a chance. Now notice it's reacting. It's most likely reacting to the support that's been here before. People are clearly buying here at this level, which means if this level is compromised, you're probably going to see this thing get hammered a bit because a lot of people are long from that level. So what do? They all bang it out, right? That's a psychological thing. That's something that, you know from experience. So there we are. I'm going to get out of 5. Okay, blew out of 5. Now I'm going to let 5 run and let the trailing stop take care of it. So the trailing stop, is based on these closing prices, and the price really needs to advance for this trailing stop to start moving in my favor. And as you can see, it's stuck up here. It's not going anywhere because price is not advancing. Right? Good thing I blew out of 5 at the profit objective there. Right? So let's see what happens with this. So I'll just let it ride and let this thing make decisions for me. So while we're waiting, if you're interested in the Trade Scanner Pro here, I'm going to put the link in the description here. I forgot to pull up the page, but here's how you can get to it. I'm going to type it in TSCPRO. If you go to this link, actually, no, that link's not going to work. Yeah, I think it's got to be this one. If I use any capital letters, I don't think it works. PRO. Right, that's it right there. Right, if you go to this link in the description, that's also a link in the description. Oh, look at that. I'm not going to short more there because that's not at the blue line. That will take you to the page. And if you scroll to the bottom portion of that page, there's a link to register there. Okay. And you have to just make sure when you go to that registration page, you have to make sure to put your TradingView username in properly. If you don't, you're not going to get your invite. So it's amazing to me, but some people actually don't know how to do that. Like if you can't do that, if you can't work like a registration form, you're definitely not going to be able to work the market. So that's your signal to not sign up. So put your name, make sure you put your TradingView username in there properly. Then within 30 minutes to an hour, you will receive an invite on TradingView, and then you can put the script on your chart and you can start working with it. Okay. 14 days for free. After that, you get billed. It's $30 per month or $270 for the year, and you save 25%. I don't have any holiday specials. I don't have like the Cyber Monday stuff. Because we want to have the full suite of the script available, and since we don't have that available, it's like we'll do the holiday sales next month or this month. For like the holidays, we'll do something, but I want to have the full suite available, meaning we have the support and resistance overlay. We have the table overlay. I'm not going to explain what those are right now, but we'll have some more advanced overlays plus the adjusted version of the logic, the trade logic, which will clean up a lot of the random signals, which I can understand. We're always looking to improve this thing further and make for a better experience. I'm not one of these frauds that's just trying to rob people and give you a garbage product. I'd like to produce a product that I can be proud of. And right now, the Trade Scanner Pro is cool, but it can be cooler. So we're working on that. It just takes a little time, and we'll get there. Okay. So as I'm speaking about this here, look, it's nice. We're getting back a test of support. So like you can use some of your own insight here, right? We keep testing this support, but here, if we break this thing is probably going to get a little bit hammered here. all right? Because a lot of people are long from this level, again, from the day trade time frame, and all of their stops are there, and they all bang it out at the same time, right? So when something like that is happening, the question is, well, can we kind of get an idea of where this thing might go? Well, let's see. Let's look back here. We have some support. All right, so we're still reacting off of this support. I can say that's probably where the max support is, meaning we clear that, we'll probably be on our way, right? So this area is probably realistic as a profit objective, or this area. So knowing that, you'd be like, all right, I'll try to give it a chance to one of those areas. Now, hopefully, if this thing breaks this support area, the trailing stop will basically do that job for me, right? The trailing stop will just keep me in this trade until it goes to the trailing stop. As you can see, price is not leaving this area, right? So since it's not leaving the area, the trailing stop is having a hard time advancing, because it'll only advance when price is making progress. Price is not making progress. Notice, it just keeps jumbling around in here, right? So the trailing stop's not going to move if price is not going to move. So we'll see. In fact, look, the trailing stop got pushed up a bit there. It's because it's moving based on the close of the candle, right? The candle has to close. So if this candle closes here, the trailing stop doesn't advance, right? So you close there, no advancement from the trailing stop. All right, whatever. What am I going to do? This thing may tap out and go up there and tap out. It can do it. I mean, this is a pretty strong vertical move there. Again, it's on a 30-second chart, but let's see what happens. I've locked in 5 contracts twice. I'm still sitting on 5, trying to see if we can get some kind of move here, and it's just we're not getting the move. So I may have to blow this 5 out. Right now it's minus like $30 or whatever, but hey, what am I going to do? And then we'll see what that looks like when I show the trade history. Now, this thing may give me another entry again. If it goes back below the blue line, I'll try it again. I'll short another 5. Let me erase some of these lines here to avoid confusion. So if we can get below that blue line and close, I'll add. So I'm looking at it basically as another trade, as a new trade, right? Every time it goes below the blue line, it's a trade. That's a little more advanced, right? Like I wouldn't expect you to know that as a beginner. There it is, right? So let's do it. Let's do it and see if it works. And if it goes to the profit objective, again, I'll blow out another 5. And it's a good thing I'm blowing out 5 at those profit objectives, because if not, I'm watching my P&L go from green back to red, back to green, back to red. At least I'm locking something in when I have the opportunity. That's the whole point of having a profit objective. Without a profit objective, how would you know to get out here? You wouldn't, right? You'd have to hope it breaks. You may have shorted in this breakout here. Oh, it's breaking out. You may have gotten short there, and now you're stuck in this, right? So it's nice to have predefined objectives and predefined risk. That's a lot less thinking for you. That's the whole point. That is the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro. It's primarily a confirmation tool and a trade management tool. It's not a forecasting tool. Although I'm trying to, again, like I said, we're trying to make it so that it's more of a forecasting tool, right? If it's giving more reliable signals, then it's a lot less work for you. You don't have to sit there and do all kinds of analysis to figure out what signal is going to be better than what other signal. You don't have to filter the signals yourself. This thing will do it for you. And you may say, you should have had that from the beginning. Yeah, I know, but the system that I had in place, I thought was adequate, because if you make filters too tight, then you get no signals. So I was trying to, allow for more flexibility, figuring, well, I know how to be flexible that way, but I can't make things based on my experience, because I have a lot of experience and it's not good for beginners. So I realized that, and we make changes as we go, right? We're making adjustments. All right. So any questions out there? Anyone still watching me? Man, half of you guys are probably asleep by now. I feel like I'm talking to myself. By the way, when I do this with I'd like to do this with real money, right? That's why I'm practicing the way I'm practicing right now. When I do this with real money, I will most likely stream this, but it's not going to be at this time because this is not really a good time to be involved in the markets. So I'm not going to be there's not going to be a schedule to that. I'm just going to pop the stream on and go, right? It could be at any time. All right, let me get out of 5 here. Nice move. Now I still got 5 on. So again, I shorted, just to recap, I shorted 5 here. I shorted 10 here, right? Covered 5 here at the objective. Can I get an arrow? Yeah, covered 5 here. Shorted and held on 5 for the run. Shorted another 5 here on this retest. Covered it here at the objective. Shorted another 5 here. Covered it here at the objective. I'm still in the original 5 contracts. And I'm waiting for this support break. And we're not getting it. Okay, but I'm going to give it a chance. We're not at the stop. We're not at the trailing stop or the stop yet. But if we break, I suspect that break will be decent. I mean, look at this. Look what's happening here. There's plenty of potential. Also, notice, right, these blue lines are from, remember the support that I drew earlier? That's a potential price objective. That's a notable support level. So it's possible that we can test that. So that, as a day trader, these are the levels that I'm interested in. This is the scope that I'm working within. I'm not looking at a daily chart and being, well, this thing can pull back 3,000 points. If I'm going to hold overnight, sure, right? Then I'm playing that game, but I'm not playing that game. You have to stay within the scope of your movement. That's why it's important, like in the beginning, the first step is you have to define if you want to be a day trader or a swing trader or whatever. Like, you have to know the mode you're going to go into. You have to know what you're looking for so that you stay within the appropriate realm of information. A common mistake is people mix time frames, especially when they're wrong. It's the worst thing you can do. That's like if I was long right now and I'm like, oh, this thing will come back. This thing is strong. I'll hold it overnight, right? And now I'm exposing myself to thousands and thousands of points of risk where if I just stayed within my scope, my risk should only be what? My risk should only be something like 6 points on Ethereum, not 100 points or 200 points, right? But when you hold and you change your mind, you start out as a day trade, and then you say, well, I'll just hold on to it. Now you expose yourself to massive risk. And this is where we run into problems. This is a common beginner thing. They do it all the time because they can't admit being wrong. You have to be able to do that. You have to respect. If I'm wrong, I blow it out and that's it. I'm done, right? You have to respect these orders because they keep you within the appropriate scope of the trade. If you mix that up, you ask for big trouble, right? And it's all about respecting risk in this game. That is how you get ahead in this game. It's all about the risk. I emphasize that a lot. If you don't have any respect for risk, or you're just like, yeah, whatever, it's going to be very costly. Trust me. It will be very costly in the long run. All right, so how are we doing with time here? I'm going to be wrapping this up soon. I don't see any questions. We'll let this thing run for a few more minutes. I'm just waiting to see if we really get that break, and I'm still short. So we're sitting here at this level. Any questions about this? Do you guys like the Ethereum idea instead of Bitcoin all the time? So we get to see another coin trade on the Trade Scanner Pro. And it's also more realistic because you can trade this with a small account. Bitcoin on a small account, on a $1,000 account or a $2,000 account, you have to use massive leverage, right? You have to use 100 to 1 or 200 to 1 leverage. And man, if you're wrong, you're wiping out 20% or 30% of the account in minutes. Right? That's the problem with that. Here, the risk is much more under control. If I'm wrong, okay, maybe I lose 3%, 4%, something like that on a small account. Remember, when you're working with like a $1,000 account, you're automatically taking bigger risks, especially if you're using leverage. Because when you're wrong, think about it. On a $1,000 account, if you lose $100, which is really not a lot of money, you just wiped out 10% of the account. In terms of risk, that's a lot, right? You can only be wrong 9 more times if you're losing $100 every time before you wipe out the account. All right. Real talk. Okay. Is that real? Does that mean I don't understand what that means? Real talk. Does that mean I'm keeping it real? Is that what that means? Not sure. Notice my trailing stop has advanced, and it's advancing right now. Right? It's because price made some progress. At this moment, my risk went from, what was that? 6 points. My risk went from 6 points, about 573. All right, we'll just round that to 6. Went from 6 points to 0 because my trailing stop is at the entry price. So this is a risk-free trade right now. If this thing goes to the trailing stop, I blow it out and there's no risk. Now it moved again. Okay, so now my risk is actually in the plus, meaning if it goes to the trailing stop, this should be a small profit or basically break even. Meanwhile, remember, I had other contracts which I locked in. So the entire trade is generally profitable. I'm just trying to let this runner run, and it's not doing a very good job. But, you have to be patient with these things. And it may go to the trailing stop, the way this thing's moving around. So this thing just refuses to break. I mean, look, this is what a failed low looks like, by the way. You have a lower low. See that? You have a low, all these lows. It goes slightly lower and reverses in everyone's face. That is a failed low. As you can see, those are nice trades. If you can identify these in a routine way, which is what counter trend mode is. I'm planning to have counter trend mode be able to identify these exact situation, the low followed by the failed low, and then the reversal. What's happening in that situation is people are shorting this, and then they're wrong, and they get squeezed out, so they all bang it out. That's what's happening. And it's the opposite for the failed high. When you have a failed high, like something like this, you got the higher high, all the longs pile in, and then it turns in their face, and they all have to bang it out. That's a failed low or a failed high, also known as a fake out. Okay, and those can be great trades, especially on large time frames. When you get a fake out on a large time frame, you get big moves, and they're higher probability because traders are caught on the wrong side. That's what's driving that move. This is a very old concept, by the way. This is nothing new. Okay, so a few more minutes here, and then I'll wrap this up. We're probably going to get stopped out for break even on this. I tried, I gave it a chance. I tried, and it's like, nope, we're not going to run today. All right, no problem. Let's bang it out. I'll cover my 5 contracts. Let's go. And then we can take a look and see, the other contracts. Now, again, you can say, whoa, you should have covered it. But I'm trying to let it run. I locked in some other profits, so it's okay. This is what's going to happen with runners sometimes, right? It's not always going to work out the way you want it to work out. But I haven't, hasn't stopped out yet. Now, I'm not going to add to this one because I want to, wrap this up and get out and just get out of this thing. So I'm not going to add to this. I'm just going to keep it. If it wants to go back to the profit objective, maybe I'll just get out of it there. Again, to remind you, this is a 30-second chart. So the movement is very erratic. So while this is happening, let's just take a quick look at the bigger picture. What's happening? Here's a 1 minute. What's happening on here? Nothing. Look at this. It's just consolidating. How about a 5 minute? Anything on here? Anything happening here? Nothing. I mean, we have this lower high situation. It refuses to break. Look at all these tails on the 5 minute. Interesting, right? Refuses to break. That's the market. Now, does it mean the higher low is going to stick and it's going to go higher? It might. Do I want to go long here? Long is a possibility based on that, but I'm short right now. So, when you're using the Trade Scanner Pro, the great thing is you don't sit there and guess and be like, well, maybe this, maybe that. You let the thing tell you what to do. So if I want to go for longs, I would have to switch in this mode on this 30-second chart. I'd have to switch to counter trend mode because right now, if you notice, the trend here is bearish. I'd have to switch to bullish, right, or counter trend mode. So in bearish mode, I get bullish trades. And then I could look for longs. That's how I would have to do that right now. But I'm not going to do that. Also, like I said, we're going to change that functionality so that you don't have to do that. Because that is confusing, especially for a beginner. The reason why we put in that the counter trend mode to begin with was because as a trader myself, I like flexibility and I like to be able to switch things, based on how the market changes. But you have to have experience to know when to switch it. And that experience is not something I can teach, like in a 1 hour stream. I just can't teach that. So that's why the goal has to be, well, how do we make it so that the script can basically filter all that out? So all the user has to do is wait for the signal and follow the signal, all right? And how to have the logic appropriate for that. It's not easy. Not easy. Especially for the amount of money that I'm getting paid to do all that, which is nothing. Okay. All right. So the trade still stands. Never got stopped out. All right. Wants to ride? Let it ride. Let it ride. What is your profit so far? Well, let's take a look. It looks like if I scroll a little bit here, let's just look at today's. Today is what, the second? So 79 plus, so it's 30. So that's like 100 and something, 130. So 130, now let's minus all those commissions. So 3, in fact, by the way, I don't know if these commissions are realistic, but I don't know if they're the exact price of MEXC. I put that in myself. So I don't know if those are the right commissions. They may be a little higher, but they are realistic though. So let's see, 3, 6, that's about 8, 10. So let's say about $15 in commissions. So I'm about up $115, something like that on paper. Not bad for, about how long have I been here doing this? An hour? A little bit less than an hour? Throwing around 10. Oh, look at that. Nice. Again, not bad. And that would be around my goal. $100 done. On a $1,000 account, $100, or if I can get a little bit more than, beautiful, done. That's asking $100 a day is kind of asking for a lot. On top of that, because again, that's 10% of the account. On top of that, there are going to be losing days. So you can't sit there and think of it in a linear way and be like, oh, just make $100 every day, because you're going to have losing days. There's no way around that. The thing is, when you have a losing day, you have to keep that loss capped, meaning you have to have a daily loss limit and you must stick to it. That's my biggest mistakes as a day trader has to do with not respecting my daily loss limit. In this case, it would be $200. So, you say, well, how do you make money that way? You make 100 when you win, but you're going to lose 200 when you're wrong. Well, hopefully I don't lose that much, that often, first of all. But you do have to give it a little room. And the probability of making $100 is greater than losing the $200. You have to look at it that way as well. But it has to do with the system you're using and your experience level. Okay, this was a nice little move. It got started here and it just stopped again. It just, turning green on me again here. How annoying. Now, I just have to point out that, remember before, I was prepared to break even. And I said, all right, let it go to break even. It never went. It never touched the trailing stop. It almost touched it. Now, if I was using my own judgment and I had no point of reference, I would have gotten out here, and I would have I would have not been participating in this move now. Okay, but I stayed in simply because the trailing stop was never touched, right? That is the magic of this, if there's any magic, is it gives you a visual point of reference, and now it keeps me in the trade. Otherwise, I would have banged this thing out. We went back below the profit objective. I mean, I should be banging it out now, but I'm trying to see if this thing wants to break, right? I'm trying to give it that chance to break. It still refuses. It's very reluctant. You know, time of day, it's 4:30 in the afternoon here. Bad time to be involved in this. You know, I mean, look at the progress, or I should say lack of progress. We've been, the entire time that we've been doing this trade, right? I took the trade. This is the trade that we're still in. That was how long ago? That was back at 4 o'clock. Okay. So 30 minutes, basically. We've been watching this trade gyrate around. I took a couple of profits. I'm trying to ride a winner. It refuses to break. For 30 minutes, this thing is just stuck inside of this range. But I have to say, I'm confident that if this support is cleared, we're going to see a push. Because again, all the clowns are long. You have all the sheep that are long here because my RSI says go long. Right? So they're all long here, and when it breaks, all the stops get cleared. That's what happens. I could be wrong. Maybe they hold, and maybe it breaks the other way. That can happen. But, you know, this is the side that I'm betting on, and we'll see. You know, I'll give it a little bit more of a chance. My trailing stop is trying to move in my favor here. It's trying, but it's not going to move unless price makes progress. The nice thing about this trailing stop is it's not going to just move. It's not going to move on its own for no reason. It's not going to move just to move. It moves based on the closing prices, and the closing prices have to be making progress. It just doesn't move just to move, right? Just like a time-based trailing stop where it just keeps moving no matter what price does, right? It just keeps getting closer and closer to price. This doesn't do that. This is all relevant to price. Okay, so we break here. This is what I'm looking for. Let's see if it clears the area. Like, you know how we'll know it clears? When we get a big candle, right? We get something like this. That would be clearing it. Because right now we could still get a failed low. We're in failed low territory right now. Let's see if we get the failed low or not. Now keep in mind too, for each one of these bottom tests and these attempted to go, these long attempts, you realize more and more people get long. They get longer and longer and more people join, right? And when it breaks, they all run for the exit at the same time. That's what creates the momentum. You know, people always like, oh, why? Why this? Why that? It's simply order flow. And when everyone's doing the same thing, like if everyone starts banging this thing out, see, look, we're not getting it. It tries and it doesn't deliver, which means no one is really selling. That's what that tells me. No one is really selling this thing. Because if they were, we'd get that long candle. We get that big bearish candle. We're not getting it. We go slightly, we try, and we get the failed low. So what this is telling me is people are shorting it and they're getting squeezed again, right? I may just take this out now. Let's see. Well, you know what? I'll just wait for the trailing stop. I might as well. Just wait for the trailing stop. The trailing stop right now is in profitable territory for me anyway. Yeah, I have to give back some profit. I mean, this trade is up $14, not much. But again, it's realistic for a $1,000 account. I'm going to give it back, you know, whatever. We go back up to here. I could have taken whatever, but I tried to give it a chance. This is what's going to happen. All right, I think they're going to get me this time. Let's see. And if for some reason they don't tap the trailing stop for whatever reason, then I'll probably just take it at the profit objective if it can go back there. Here we are. We're right there. All it has to do is pop up a little tick and I'm out, right? Because the trailing stop will have done its job. So keep in mind, see, this is why I wait for the trailing stop, especially on a 30-second chart. Keep in mind, my risk started out up here, right? Remember, my original risk was up here. And I would have given back 6 points or whatever, right? That would have been a losing trade. Then my risk went to break even. So now if I give back the profit, well, I'm giving back profit. Now, if the trailing stop is touched, I just take a smaller profit, but it's still a profit. All right, we're going back to the profit objective. I'm prepared to get out this time because I've given this thing a chance. How many times? 1, 2, 3 friggin' times. And we can count this time too. 4 effing times. And this thing doesn't break. So, you know, what are you going to do? All right, here we go again. So here's how I'm going to play this. We're back at the profit objective. If this candle turns green, I bang it out. If the next candle turns green, I bang it out. If this candle stays red, okay, it closed. It's not green, so I'll give it one more bar. If this new candle closes green, I'm out. If this new candle closes red, I'll give it another chance. Let's see. We got 30 seconds. I only have to wait 30 seconds. So let's see how it closes. If I get that little green blip, I'm getting out. All right, we got less than 10 seconds. How does it want to close? Okay, green. Goodbye. Out. All right, so I'm out of the trade. Good thing I got out. So near the profit objective. Look, it would have stopped out. Look at that. Now let's see if it taps it. It's probably going to tap it this day. There we go. So I got out a little early before it went to the trailing stop. All right, so not bad. Interesting trade situation, right? So let's just go back at the paper trade history here. So I took $23 out of that trade, minus $1.81 commission, right? So not bad. Let's see, can I see my, you can see all my orders right here, but I can't, what I can't see is, it's showing me like my realized P&L, but that's total P&L. That's like, I was up like $79 anyway. So you have to subtract like $79 from that. And that's really what I made today. So that's over $100, like maybe $130, I think, net or something like that. So this is, again, it was on paper, but you saw how basically I worked this trade. That was the trade, how it fluctuated back and forth to that profit objective. And I kept covering some, putting on more, covering some. And that's what you have to do. I gave this thing a chance to break a few times. It refuses to break and the party's over, right? That's it. So nice example of how to use this tool to basically guide my decision-making without making forecasts. Now I could have, how many times have I said, oh, this thing breaks, it's going to break, but it refuses to break. I even had some profit objectives in mind, but I know better not to sit there and get married to that idea because this can happen. Keep in mind, we're on a 30-second chart, so it changes a lot, right? So in this situation, I can go back. Let's just take a quick look. Let's go back to our 1 hour chart and see like how have things changed on the bigger picture. Look, nothing has occurred on this is the hourly chart over here. Nothing. This thing has been doing nothing. And I still managed to get away with $130. This thing has done nothing. How many times am I going to say that? Right? So having a tool to help you navigate that is very helpful. We never tested the support. We never tested the resistance. We're right smack in the middle. This is out of play right now. There's no price action right now. Yet I managed to navigate my way around this thing because I have a tool that helps me make my decision-making easier. And I'm not getting caught with complexity. I'm not sitting there trying to guess what the market's going to do. The market is just going to do either this or that. And I have orders to tell me how I should deal with that. Make sense? Any questions? So if you guys you want to try out the Trade Scanner Pro, I mean, I'm not going to take any more trades. That was an interesting trade situation. If you want to try out the Trade Scanner Pro, again, there's a link in the description. All right, I also have the link on the bottom of the screen here. You can just go to that link. When you go to the sign up form, make sure that you put your TradingView username in there properly. It's a 14-day free trial. After day 14, you get billed. It's $30 a month. Now, if you can't afford that, look, I'm not shaming anyone, but if you can't afford that, then you probably shouldn't be in this game. Save some money first or invest. Investing is easier. You just take more risk though. And that's that, okay? It's $30 a month or $270 for the year. We are working on updates, like I said, to make this process even easier for you. If you need help or you have suggestions, you can go to the Discord community. There's a support channel there. Steen is in there all the time, and you could give him suggestions. He loves suggestions, by the way. And he does a lot with that stuff, and he implements them pretty quickly. So that's something to consider as well. You have input into this, how this thing is developed, which is a valuable thing. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't see any questions. If you guys need to reach me, you can send me a message here on TradingView. You can also send me an email at mark@markpremarkets.com. Those are the best ways to reach me. Yeah, and like I said, if you have any suggestions, you can talk to Steen. That short time frame looked very complicated. Well, it's a 30-second time frame, and it is complicated. That's why I don't recommend 30 seconds. Typically, you want to be doing this like as a beginner, like a 5-minute chart. See, the reason why I don't show a 5-minute chart is because it'll take forever for a signal to appear on here. I mean, look, the most recent signal on this 5-minute chart was back here. That was what, 84 bars ago. That was at 9. That was basically at 10 a.m. Okay, 10 a.m. It's now 4:30 p.m. or almost 5 p.m. Eastern time here. That was a long time ago, and there were no signals since then. So that's why I show a small time frame. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here forever waiting for signals. Even on the 1 minute, all that price action that transpired in my example there, which occurred, that was all this price action in here. There were no signals on the 1 minute. Okay, so it looks like it's trying to break out now. And this is where I'm telling my failed low script idea would have been beautiful here. Look at that. Failed low. Beautiful. That's the kind of trades. Those are great reversals, right? So that functionality is going to be built into this thing soon. Anyway, my point is that's why I showed a 30-second chart, because there'd be no signals otherwise, and I can't demonstrate the script. So I show it this way so that you can see how it works and how it helps with decision making. But as a beginner, I recommend using a 5-minute, a 15-minute chart, something like that. And instead of having to sit in front of the screen and waiting for signals, which can be really annoying, you can use you could set up notifications from TradingView right here, right? You set that up on TradingView, and the trade scanner will send you a message. Actually, it'll come through TradingView. It'll send you a notification on TradingView that is signal. It'll send you the warning, like the heads up. It'll send you that, or it'll send you if a new signal is present, or if a stop is being reached, right? So you'll get all that information from TradingView if you set up notifications. And that's how I recommend people use this script, especially as a beginner, if you don't want to wait in front of your screen all day. Because again, you can be waiting forever for signals. Like, look at this. There's no signal here, right? And this is a 1 minute, and there are no signals here. So the most recent 1 minute signal was back here, and it wasn't even a winning one, right? Yet you watched me make money inside of this mess. Inside of this mess here. Look at this beautiful move. Man. Anyway, good thing I'm not short anymore. All right, so nice comment there. Any other questions? So like I was saying, if you have any questions, I'll just finish what I was saying. Yeah, you can find me on all those places. If you have any questions about stuff, I highly suggest you try out the Trade Scanner Pro. Paper trade with it. See how it works. You can use it in conjunction with other systems if that, because again, it's a confirmation tool, so it can be helpful in that area as well. And look for the updates that are coming soon. I'll announce them when they come, because we're working on it. Man, I'm just watching this Ethereum. What a move. By the way, if I was still short, the stop would have been a long time. I would have been stopped out a long time ago. So I wouldn't have been caught in this, by the way. You guys remember where the stop orders were. All right. Now, so one thing I want to mention before I sign off is if anyone reaches out to you on Discord or on TradingView or wherever, on Twitter, as me, and they're asking you for money, then it's a fake. I just have to mention this on every stream. It's a fake. Don't be scammed. A lot of scammers out there. They like to impersonate me. Also, if you get a message from Steen or a message from Alex asking you for money, or they send you to a weird website or something like that, asking you for like money or $1,000, it's a scam. The only website I have is Market Signals Pro, right? So if you're going there, okay, but a scammer is not going to send you there. So please make sure you're not scammed. If you get something like that, block the person, report the person, and also we have a room in the community, a channel where you could let others know that there's a scammer running about, so that people are protected, because I don't like people getting scammed. All right, people. So if I don't see any other questions or anything else, I don't see anything, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this stream. Make sure you press the like button, press the subscribe button, leave a comment, because all that helps, and we'll go from there. All right. So hope you enjoyed your holiday and stuff like that, and whatever. I hope you hope you kept the food consumption under control. And I'll leave you with that. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for watching.